Good afternoon and good morning. Welcome back to the virtual VETS'20. Today is part 14 of our 17-part webinar series hosted by the National Veteran Small Business Coalition. I'm Earl Morgan, the NVSBC Program Director, and to our new attendees, thank you for joining us today. Again, we'd like to thank the 8 sponsors who made this webinar series possible. Just a reminder, you can find all the virtual VETS'20 webinar recordings and slide presentations on a link at the bottom of your screen. We will email all the attendees a link to the web page after this webinar. All right, today's runtime for this webinar is 1 hour and 15 minutes and is currently being recorded. If you have any questions, please type them in the text box below on your screen. We'll try to get to them as soon as we can. If we miss any of your questions and do not have the time to answer it, we'll get the answers and post it on the Virtual 20 webpage replay. Now I'd like to introduce our moderator, the Executive Director of the National Veteran Small Business Coalition, Mr. Scott Jensen. Sorry.
Thanks, Earl, and good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are in the United States. It's great to have you all here with us, and we appreciate you joining us. This is an exciting opportunity today, an outgrowth of immense investment in scientific research initiated by the U.S. government during World War II. The national laboratories have served as the leading institutions for scientific innovation in the United States for more than 70 years. The Energy Department's 17 national labs tackle the critical scientific challenges of our time, from combating climate change to discovering the origins of our universe. And they possess unique instruments and facilities, many of which are found nowhere else in the world. They address large-scale, complex research and development challenges with a multidisciplinary approach that places an emphasis on translating basic science into innovation. The DOE is one of the largest, if not the largest, scientific research system in the world. They provide more than 40% of the total national funding for physics, chemistry, material sciences, and other areas of the physical sciences. Today, it's my pleasure to introduce 3 folks who have joined us: Cassandra Stewart, Stacy Francis, Roxanne Dunn. They all 3 represent 3 of these wonderful national labs, and we are overjoyed to have them joining us today and to talk to you about the opportunities that are represented by their 3 labs spread throughout the nation. So without further ado, I would like to turn it over to our 3 guests to give us the information they have for our members today. Ladies, thank you and welcome. We're glad to have you on board.
Thanks, Scott.
Bet. And I think we're starting with the Idaho lab with Stacy Francis. So Stacy, the floor is yours.
All righty. Well, thank you, Scott and Earl, for inviting us to participate in this. We're excited to share with you a little bit about how our various labs, national laboratories, do business, and what some of the key components are that you need to know to do business with us. So with that, Earl, let's just get started. So with the Idaho National Laboratory, our vision is to change the world's energy future and secure our critical infrastructure. These are both significant mission areas for us, and we do that through the discovery and demonstration of secure innovation for nuclear energy solutions, clean energy options, and that critical infrastructure. Next. So what is a national laboratory? Scott kind of touched on it a little bit. I'm going to give you just a little more history on what a national laboratory is. So there are 17 national laboratories across the nation, and the national laboratories do what industry and universities can't, won't, and shouldn't do. We are on the cutting edge of research and development, and we then take what we learn from the research and development that we do, and we send that out to industry and to the universities to further that research to help the nation as a whole. Next. So what is the Idaho National Laboratory? Well, the Idaho National Laboratory last year celebrated its 70th anniversary. We have been around here on the high Idaho desert since 1949. And over that course of time, we have tested and demonstrated nuclear reactors. We've actually tested 52 of them here on site, and we currently have 4 of them that are still operating. We also have a mission in the space nuclear, where we put nuclear batteries on vehicles that are going into outer space. We have a large mission in the critical infrastructure protection. We are working to identify how we help control the grid, our water, our transportation, to keep bad actors out of those environments. And then we also have 2 brand new data centers to support research. And we have one of the fastest supercomputers now in the nation with our Sawtooth supercomputer that we just brought online last year. Next. So the Idaho National Laboratory is a little island unto itself here. We have 890 square miles that is set aside on a federal reservation. It's roughly the size of Rhode Island. We maintain our own electrical distribution system. We have a lot of buildings. We have a lot of paved roads. We have railroads. We have the 4 operating reactors. We manage the spent fuel pools. We have a mass transit system that we use to haul our workers back and forth between town and the site. It's roughly 55 miles from Idaho Falls out to the facilities. And we do our own pro force, our own security force. We have a museum. We have a National Historic Monument on site. And we also have a unique educational and research partnership with our Center for Advanced Energy Studies here in Idaho Falls, where we partner with local universities on research. Next. So this is a 2018 slide. We don't have the numbers yet from 19, but INL's economic impact within the state of Idaho is significant. In 2018, we spent, or in 2019, we spent $222 million with Idaho businesses. For every job that we have here at the laboratory, we create roughly 2.19, I guess that's not a rough number, that's pretty exact, isn't it? We create 2.19 jobs in other areas here within the community. So our overall economic impact to Idaho is $2.64 billion. With 5,700 employees, or 4,700 employees, we are a big fish in a little pond here in Idaho, and we take that very seriously. And so we have a big community giving program. We promote our employees to go out and work within the community and to partner with local organizations and to give where they can in charitable organizations. So. Next. So at the INL, we are poised for some pretty big opportunities as we look ahead to 2030. We are in the stages of working to demonstrate some micro reactors. These will be small reactors that will be deployable to, I think, the front line, the forward areas for our military. Think putting them in remote locations in Alaska or Canada to power those remote villages. These would probably fit on a semi-truck bed and will be deployable out into those areas. We will also be working with industry to deploy commercial microreactors. We have a big project underway to look at the small modular reactors. NuScale is working on developing those small modular reactors, and they just passed the final hurdle on NRC licensing. So they are looking to move that project forward. We are looking to build a new test reactor here on the site. We're one of the final locations for the siting of that versatile test reactor. And it is planned to be operational by 2026. I think due to current funding, that's going to slide just a little bit. And then we're going to continue our work on the light water reactors and be demonstrating a new non-light water reactor, excuse me, by 2030. Next, Earl. So what does that mean? It means that there's a big need for workforce in Idaho. I know this is supposed to be a supply chain presentation, but the workforce goes hand in hand with that. And this slide shows you all the various disciplines that we're going to need future workforce in, from the skilled to the non-skilled craft for construction, to those doctorate level nuclear engineering scientists. Next. So this slide is our performance and our small business goals for FY20. I am happy to announce that we made all 6 of our small business goals, and we accomplished our overall small business goal at 66%. That's well ahead of our 51% goal. We did make all of our socioeconomic goals as well, and our Idaho Business Concerns goal. We got 43% attainment in that area. So I'm real pleased with our overall small business performance for fiscal year 20. Next. So where do we spend our money? This graph shows you that we spend, the majority of our money last year was spent in construction, some real estate, engineering services, computer, those kind of things. Those are the top 10 right there. 89% of our procurement volume is spent in service contracts and 11% in materials, those consumable items. Next. So what did we buy here at the Idaho National Laboratory? Well, we buy everything from paper clips to nuclear fuel and everything that runs in between there. We have the traditional commodities that every laboratory is going to need, from office supplies, chemicals, fuels, those kind of things. We have a growing need in construction, both for new facilities and infrastructure upgrades. We have the capital equipment that we buy, the heavy equipment to facilitate maintaining roads and those kind of things here at the site. Our information technology that runs the gamut from the hardware and that to the services. And then our services arena is the technical, the scientific, engineering, environmental, janitorial, and the university research and development programs. Next. So how do you get started with doing business with the Idaho National Laboratory? The first thing you need to do is get your Duns and Bradstreet number. As of today, you still need to get a Dun and Bradstreet number. Soon it will be a unique identifier that will be assigned for the system for awards management, and you will get that unique identifier from sam.gov. Identify or obtain an employee identification number for the Internal Revenue Service. A lot of companies that are sole proprietors want to know, how come I have to get an EIN when I've always used my social security number? That's considered private information, and we can't collect that in our system. So we do require an EIN from folks. Small businesses must complete a registration in the system for awards management. And soon, when they go to that unique identifier, all businesses are going to have to be registered in sam.gov. So if you're a small business, I'd say don't wait around to get that SAM registration completed. Go on ahead and get out there and get that done. It is not the most user-friendly registration in the world, so I'd say go ahead and get that tackled now. And then when you got that completed, go to vendor.inl.gov and you can complete the Inl Vendor Portal registration. That is also a requirement to doing business with us. And then forward me your line card and capability statement to that small.business@inl.gov. That comes directly to me. And what I do is I take a look at those, and then I send them on out to the program representatives and the technical folks to take a look at, to see if they have an interest in engaging further. Next. There's a look at what the vendor portal looks like. If you're coming in for the first time, you're going to select new registration. For companies that are already registered, you're going to hit that existing registration link. Next. We do have a listing of upcoming opportunities at procurement.inl.gov. There are a few out there right now. It's not very robust. It's something that we're working to improve as we move forward into fiscal year 21. But there will be opportunities out there. As I know about them, we list them out here. And to express your interest in those, you just click on the blue title of the opportunity, and that'll take you to a little short form to fill out. And then that gets stored with that opportunity. And when we go to put the solicitation list together for that opportunity, we will consider those companies that have expressed interest in it. Next. This slide will be valuable to you after this presentation. It gives you the points of contact for the other small business program managers here at the Idaho National Laboratory. The Idaho National Laboratory has 2 different M&O contractors that report to the Department of Energy. Trevor Bluth is the Department of Energy Small Business Program Manager. And then the prime contractors are Battelle Energy Alliance, that's who I work for. And we're under the Office of Nuclear Energy. And then under the Office of Environmental Management is the Idaho Cleanup Project. And Jennifer Lloyd is their Small Business Program Manager. And then we also have on the desert the Office of Naval Propulsion, and that's Fluor Marine Propulsion Corporation. And Bruce Wheeler is the point of contact there for procurement opportunities. So you'll want to reach out to each one of those separately and see what their opportunities are for doing business with their organization. Next. And that's all that I have. Next, you'll get to hear from the lovely Cassandra Stewart.
Okay, give me a minute here to set this up. Okay, here we go.
Okay, well, thank you very much for having me today, and thank you so much, Stacy, for that kind introduction. My name is Cassandra Stewart, and I'm with Oak Ridge National Laboratory, and I am here to tell you more about the lab and business opportunities. Next. So, as the slide that Stacy had showed, there are 17 national labs across the country, and Oak Ridge National Lab is one of them. We're located in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, which is East Tennessee, and we are managed by the Office of Science within the Department of Energy. So our main focus is science and energy research and development for DOE. We have about 5,100 employees and an extensively large campus. However, lots of us are working from home right now due to the virus, but we are very active and still very much working. Next slide. So I wanted to tell you about the best ways to find out about business opportunities at the lab. And you can start with our small business website. The address is smallbusiness.ornl.gov. And we keep this updated and try to give you the best information so that you can find what you're looking for pretty easily. If you were to click on the small business program facts section at the bottom of the opening page, it would take you to a page containing lots of information about the small business program, including things like what we buy. There's a link also that allows you to register in our supplier database, and there's our construction pre-qualification information. So if you're a general contractor, a construction company interested in working with ORNL as a prime, we do require that you go through a pre-qualification process. And that involves basically sending in some information about your company. It undergoes a review, takes about 90 days. And once you are pre-qualified, then you're on a list of contractors that can work with us as a prime at the lab. Next page. Also, on that web page, if you click business opportunities, it takes you directly to our business opportunities page. So this is where we post all of our current opportunities. It's not a forecast, but it is a list of actual opportunities. It tells you things like whether the item is a small business set aside, the day it's expected to be awarded, the value of the item. So there's lots of information on this page. And at the top of the page, there's actually another link to a project that's managed by ORNL called the US ITER project. It's a fusion project located in France, actually, but it's managed by Oak Ridge National Lab. And you'll see some of their opportunities on our business opportunities page, but that project also has its own business opportunities page. So we include that link at the top of the business opportunities page there. Next slide. So continuing on regarding the business opportunities page, there's a big green subscribe button on the page. And this allows you to sign up for updates in the categories of your choice. And there are multiple categories available, such as, professional staffing, fabrication, computer IT, construction. And whenever there's a new item posted on the page, you'll receive an email about it. Also, on each item, there is information under the link that says details. So when you click on details, you can see all sorts of information, including what's very important, which is the procurement officer's name and email address. So you can contact that person directly and ask to be put on a bid list or ask any sort of questions about the particular item that you're interested in. So the small business website is a really good resource for finding out information about what we have and how to get in touch with people if you have questions. Next page. So I wanted to just run through a few of the business opportunities that are on the page currently. Under professional and staffing services, we have a project management project in which products will be planning documents, feasibility study reports, and performing master planning. You'll be assisting ORNL project managers in developing project plans. We have an architect and engineering services item. And let's see, that includes working for our laboratory modernization division. So you would be working with both ORNL engineering personnel and subcontractors are being used to provide AE services. Under the computer IT area, we have an Icpt agreement for equipment and other items. So Icpt stands for Integrated Contractor Purchasing Team, and it is I guess a function or entity that allows labs across the country to utilize this system for subcontracting. And you can find out more about it at icpt.doe.gov. The other item under computing is our high performance computing system, and this particular item is related to climate modeling. I believe Stacy mentioned that INL has a high performance computer, and we have one that right now is considered the fastest in the world. It's called Summit, but already it's almost outdated because there are plans to bring on a new computer called Frontier. Next slide. So under fabrication and machining services, this is typically related to that US ITER project that I mentioned, the fusion project in France. So there are opportunities on the ITER web page as well as the ORNL web page, and they're typically related to some type of equipment. Under construction, we do have several construction projects coming up, including more AE services and building modifications. Again, our opportunities are updated pretty frequently and can change quite a bit because they're not a forecast, they are actual needs that we have at the current time. Next slide. We also have a huge project called the Second Target Station, which is an expansion of a project called the Spallation Neutron Source. Now, I'm not a technical person, so don't ask me details. I do know that it has its own AE design and construction requirements. We also have some additional projects coming up, the building of a U.S. stable isotope production and research center called the Cypressy, as well as the materials plasma exposure experiment device called IMPEX. And each of these has its own specific requirements. Next slide. So we also fared well in FY20 regarding our small business goals. We accomplished 55% small business utilization and did well specifically in the women-owned category, as well as veteran-owned and service-disabled veteran-owned. That's out of about $375 million that went to small businesses. Next slide. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me at any time. And thank you for allowing me to present today. And our next presenter is Roxanne Dunn of NREL.
All right, well, thank you, Cassandra, for that introduction. I appreciate that. As she said, my name is Roxanne Dunn, and I'm the Small Business Program Manager at NREL, also known as the National Renewable Energy Lab. Next slide, please. I'm going to talk a little bit about NREL, who we are and what we do, where we're located, touch on our small business program, our procurement process, how to navigate our website to find those opportunities, our mentor protege program, and then I'm going to leave you with some contact information and answer any questions that you may have. Next slide, Earl, please. So NREL is what is known as an M&O. You may have heard of that. Some of you may have not, but what it means is that we're managed and operated by the Alliance for Sustainable Energy for the Department of Energy. We started in 1977 as SERI, or the Solar Energy Research Institute, and were designated by President Bush as a national laboratory in 1991. Our main campus is in Golden, Colorado, and then we have our Flatirons campus, which houses our National Wind Technology Center up in Boulder, Colorado. Next slide, please. We are the only federal laboratory dedicated to renewable energy and energy efficiency technologies, and we are under the guise of EERE, Energy Efficiency Renewable Energy for the Department of Energy, and we're backed by over 40 years of achievement. Next slide, please. We have over 2,300 employees, and we have about 900 partnerships with industry, academia, and government, and that 40 years of technology is incorporated into our campus, and that's why we are known as a living laboratory, our campus is. Next slide, please. Some of the areas that we support the Department of Energy in and renewable energy are renewable power. Most of you know that as solar, wind, water, and geothermal. We also support DOE with sustainable transportation and bioenergy, vehicle technologies, and hydrogen. Buildings, advanced manufacturing, and government energy management fall under energy efficiency. And then we have a facility on site known as the ESIF, or the Energy Systems Integration Facility, which allows, it's a DOE user facility, and it allows entities and municipalities, large primes, corporates to come and plug in their products to see how it will work on a national grid. And you might ask yourself why we're doing this. Next slide, please. It's so that we can create not only a cleaner but a safer America through energy security. Next slide, please. So our small business program, most small business programs are located in the Procurement or Acquisition Services Department. The NREL's commitment to small business is central to our mission, and so all of our small business programs are located in our Innovation Partnering and Outreach Directorate. and under the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Center. So you can see that my program, the Small Business Program and the Mentor Protege Program are there. We also have our Energy I-Core program, Wells Fargo, our Industry Growth Forum, our Shell Game Changer, and then we also partner with CREED, which is the Center for Renewable Energy Economic Development for the state of Colorado. And so all of these programs in one way or another help support small businesses. A lot of them support small startup businesses. Next slide, please. We typically award between $100 and $150 million annually. In 2019, I think our goal was $140 million. And some of the products and services that we purchase are anything to help us run, basically IT, hardware, software, janitorial, construction, consulting, office supplies, anything that you can think of to help a lab run, we're probably going to purchase. Next slide, please. For those of you who are familiar with NAICS codes, these are the top 10 NAICS that we most often purchase out of, kind of our larger awards. I'll give you a minute to look at that, and then Earl, you can go ahead and go on to the next slide. Our procurement process is pretty much like anybody else's. We have to identify the requirement, and then we have to make sure that we have the funds that have been approved and that they're in hand, they've been received. The technical monitor, there's a lot of names for that person, project manager, project lead. They're going to put a scope of work together and submit that to our acquisition services department. And then the acquisition services department is going to work really closely with them and pull me in to help find potential resources for them to support their project. At that point, a request for proposal will go out. This may go out by invitation, it may go out through GSA, excuse me, it may go out through Beta SAM. There's just different ways that RFP may go out. We're going to get the bids in, we're going to take an evaluation process, source selection, and make the award, post-award administration, and then close that out. So this can take anywhere from, a few months to several months. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, our FY20 goals, we had estimated that we were going to spend about $140 million in subcontracting opportunities. Our goals with the Department of Energy this year were 57% or close to $80 million. We're going to go to small business, 7% or close to $10 million to women-owned and small disadvantaged businesses, and then 3% or just a little over $4 million we're going to go to service-disabled veteran-owned, and to hub-zone small businesses. And we do not have that data in yet for what FY19 looks like. Next slide, please. So here's a snapshot of our webpage. You can see up there the red box, it's nrel.gov. If you want to find us out there, then you're going to go down to Work With Us and go into Procurement. Next slide, please. Once you're on the Procurement webpage, you're going to see two boxes highlighted over there on the left, Opportunities, which is our forecast, and the Small Business page. Next slide, please. This is our forecast. You can see that the solicitation is going to be on the left, the solicitation time frame is going to be in the middle, and then a point of contact is going to be on the right. So let's say that you're interested in a moving and storage, you're a moving and storage company that's going to come out this fall, and you're going to reach out to the construction department at nrel.gov. When you reach out to them, a couple of things. Stay really focused on what you do. A lot of small businesses are pretty diverse and do a lot of different things, but if you do moving and storage and then you do other things, just simply speak to the moving and storage part because that's what they're interested in. And you might also tell them, I'm going to get on to registering in our vendor database, but tell them that you've registered in our vendor database and that you have met me or seen me present at this event. So next slide, please. So here's a small business page, and you can see the big green box in the middle where it says to register. If you click on that, you can register in our vendor database. You do not have to be registered there to work at NREL. I just encourage small businesses to register there because anybody inside of NREL can search and find you. You know, if they're searching who works under this particular NAICS code or provides this particular product or service, or what's a keyword that you do that differentiates you from your competitors? Maybe you're into IT and you work in Java, or you work in Drupal, or cybersecurity. Those are some things that you do. Maybe you're a Cisco Gold supplier. Put those in the keywords so that we can search those and find those as well. And then down at the bottom, you can see the events where we'll be talking and presenting at. Next slide, please. Earlier, I mentioned some of the missions and programs that we work for the Department of Energy under, and this is also a good way to kind of get ahead of the game. So, you go to NREL.gov, you go under About, Missions and Programs, and here's those columns. So let's say that you're a consultant and you consult on, building efficiency. You might want to drill down into energy efficiency buildings, find out what we're actually doing in that arena, and then find a point of contact and talk directly to them, tell them what you have to offer, and get ahead of the RFP search that way, or a solicitation that way. Next slide, please. We've also started using Beta SAM quite a bit, so I would encourage you to go out there and look for opportunities, as well as GSA. So if you have a GSA schedule, make sure that you put that in your vendor registration, because we are starting to use GSA quite a bit, as well as I think it was Cassandra who mentioned Icpt. We're starting to use that platform as well. Next slide, please. Our Mentor Protege program we've been very successful at. I think that we have 14 proteges from 2008 to current in a lot of different areas. I will say that because of COVID, that has been put on hold for the time being, just because of the onboarding process that we go through for that. But if you're interested in it, please feel free to reach out to me or Tanya McCabe, and I have her information on the slide here as well. Next slide, please. So you're going to remember to visit our website. You're going to get registered in our small business vendor database and include those keywords. You've got a GSA schedule, whatever sets you apart from your competitor. You're going to visit our IEC webpage, see what we're doing out there for small businesses and startups. Visit our upcoming purchasing and subcontracting opportunities page. Visit betasam.gov. And you do need to be registered in SAM to do work at NREL, so make sure that you get registered in SAM and do your homework. I know that small businesses hate to hear that, but go out there and find where you might be a good fit for us as well, because I'm not going to know those opportunities, one, unless they're out on a forecast, or two, unless they draw me in and are looking for some market research. Next slide, please. And here's that contact information. There's mine as well as Tanya's if you're interested in the Mentor Protege program. And I think that that's it. I don't know if I have another slide.
Thank you, Roxanne. I'd invite all of our panelists to come back up on the channel here. We do have some, you've generated some questions, and I'll work through those, and we should be able to get through all of them. The first one, I believe, is for Stacy, and the question was, where were the small business opportunities posted? Are they publicly posted?
We have a limited amount of opportunities that are posted, and they are not set aside specific for small business. So it would be any opportunities at INL, and that's at procurement.inl.gov.
Okay, great, thank you. The second one was for Cassandra. Can you provide how many dollars were spent by small businesses at the lab?
I can provide the dollar amount that we spent on small businesses for FY20, and it was about $375 million.
Okay, great, thank you. And again, please feel free if you have follow-up questions to these. Don't hesitate to reach out. I think this last one, these last couple are for Roxanne. Is the ICPT a mandatory use agreement for all of the labs? So I guess that would be probably any one of you.
I don't think it's mandatory, is it, ladies?
No, I don't think so. It's an option, but I feel like, at least at my lab, so we have a couple of the procurement staff members that are on the ICPT, I guess, leadership team. So I feel like we're using it more. I've seen it used more maybe over the last 3 years or so.
Okay, great. Roxanne, specifically to you, are you involved in the decision on setting aside the new NREL ICPT for staffing services and ensuring it is issued as a set aside?
No, I'm not involved with that.
Okay, great. I just give it a second here. The process for getting our questions in sometimes is a little bit slow, so I want to make sure there aren't any follow-ups or any other questions. We sure appreciate you all taking the time. We have time for questions if anyone else has anything they would like to ask of these three ladies. Please get them into Earl, and we'll give about 1 more minute here. Well, it looks like we've covered around. We have your points of contact information. That will get sent out to all of our participants today. Ladies, we really appreciate what you do for small businesses and the representation that you give us. Thank you for taking the time with us today and giving us this opportunity. And as I told Stacy, I'm an Idaho guy and born and raised, so I'll give a special shout out to those folks that are out in the hinterlands that you all represent. So it's great to see you all today, and we do appreciate your attendance, and we're looking forward to awarding a couple of your labs some champion awards later on in November for your good work with working with our service disabled and veteran-owned small businesses. So thanks again, and we pass on our best to everyone, and hope you have a great rest of the day. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.